Hello, I'm Charles Fellows and welcome to today's vlog. Today is day number 18, I believe. So nearly up to 20, which is very exciting. Today I'm in Taormina in Sicily, and sorry about yesterday's vlog being filmed in the dark, but it was a long day. We went to a wedding and yeah, I didn't get back till late, but had an absolutely great time. Didn't feel that I should be taking time out to do a vlog, although I was quite tempted to, for a reason which I may explain in tomorrow's vlog, depending on whether or not the opportunity comes for a guest star photo bomb. Anyway, we've come out for lunch and we're currently at a pizzeria, and we've been for a wander through the streets. I'll probably add in some of the photographs in the background. And yeah, so I'm going to take you to the table and I'm going to introduce you to today's or lunchtime's guest star. I'll do so in a moment. The light's probably changing as I sit down, so I can take off my sunglasses a little bit. I'll squint to begin with. To today's subject, which is day number 5 of 6 of the how to identify the source of where your problems are, is that the problem is actually coming from you. There's something that's in you that's holding you back or holding the business back, and you need to identify that in order to move forward. And ultimately, you need to understand what's going on and understand where you're looking to go. Now, my guest for today, who I have flown in specially from London, is hello Victoria Fellows.
Hi.
And so Victoria, the relevance here, as well as her being a fabulous person, well, you've timed your laughing there just perfectly, is that actually Victoria is a talent specialist. She works with individuals who work either in small or large businesses and help them to bring together what they do and to move forward. But let me hand you over to Victoria, who will tell you much better what she does.
Hi, hello everybody. So what I focus on doing is looking for the skills and strengths and talent within each individual so that they can leverage on that. As an individual, you might want to be going for a key promotion or want to get out of a company. And for companies, it's also about finding the talent and growing your own organic future leaders, ultimately, but doing it in a very healthy and enthusiastic way rather than cracking a whip.
Fantastic. Well, so the subject today is about you, not you, but you the viewer, or the business owners.
Okay, the business
and so
owners.
we were just looking at a couple of areas that where people might be holding themselves back. So if somebody has been working in their business and they've started to evolve, or maybe they're still at the idea stage and they're actually just not really moving forward. Now, obviously, one of the places that it could come from is that they're no longer feeling enthusiastic, they're no longer really having the same fun that they were, or they don't feel that it's kind of doing for them personally what they were into originally. So why might that be? Okay,
well, it's a process, all right? We always have fun at the beginning of a process and at the end of the process, but the bit in the middle, that is always which is most taxing, and that's the one that we would feel most overwhelmed. A great example is going to the gym. Now, we might hate to be doing physical exercise, but we love the feeling at the end, and that is the end of a process. Okay, so we get excited about going to the gym, we're excited about starting the class, you're in the middle of the workout and you just want to quit. But you know that if you do, you'll be kicking yourself after. So you push through, you feel overwhelmed, your body is screaming in pain, but you're pushing through because you really don't want that instructor to be telling you off in front of the whole class. And then you get to the end and you've come out of that shower and you're feeling refreshed. That's the end of a process. So the beginning and the end of the process will always feel amazing. The bit in the middle is always going to be the toughest part. That is when you have to get into your grit and push yourself through. The gym is the simple example, but it's the same process, input, middle, output, that you have even in everything, including your business. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and disengaged, the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, am I in the middle of my process? Because if you're in the middle of your business journey, then it's natural to feel overwhelmed, and therefore what you need to do is put in little time management hacks, or decamp to a different part of the country for 2 days, something that will take you out of the habit to break this feeling of overwhelmment, and also talk about the ideas with somebody so that you push through this middle desert in order to get to the oasis, which is the end product when you start seeing the results.
Okay, and what about people who are, who actually, let's link this back to one of my previous vlogs, which was about self-bullying, and where people basically always manage to find an excuse not to move forward. Now, is that because actually, does that reflect that underlying, actually it's not really for them, or that they don't want to do it, or is there something else going on?
Okay, so the first thing to do, there's two parts to that. The first thing to do is assess who is it that is really driving this fear, because ultimately this is what we're talking about. It's a fear. So are you fearful of success and failure, and therefore sort of trying to keep yourself small, not wanting to grow the business? Then fine, and that is ultimately, you are that's an okay feeling to have, and what you have to do is you have to overcome that fear. If, however, you look at the idea that you had and it really doesn't put a smile on your face, then it's the wrong idea for you. That's what I would honestly say. So actually the best litmus test that you could ever do is do something out of your comfort zone. It could be, so for example, one of my fears, as much as I love speed and driving in fast motorcycles and galloping on a horse, there is an element of fear there. I have this thing about speed, and a few months ago Charles took me to a water park and I faced one of my fears, and it was going through a tunnel, a water tunnel. It was pitch black, it was just the two of us. I couldn't see a thing. I screamed all the way down. There was even a death drop in the whole process of this water ride.
It was great.
Okay, it was great for him. I freaked out. I have never sworn and shouted so much in my life. But I'll tell you, when I came at the end of that ride, the first thing I said to Charles is, "Let's go again." I was so excited. I'd overcome a fear. If you put yourself in that situation and then, that euphoria, you then ask, am I excited about my idea? If your answer is yes, then it's simply a case of fear of failure, and now you know how to address it and go forward. If in that whole high sense of the euphoria, when you've just faced a demon or done something extremely thrilling and releases a whole lot of adrenaline, and you ask yourself the same question, does this idea excite me? And you're not excited, it's not the idea for you. That's how you know whether something's right or not.
Okay, fantastic. Now, obviously, things can get distracted along the way, and indeed, actually, we have a distraction right now, and I'll show you what that is. But you know, we can get distracted along the way. You know, we can receive fantastic advice, and we can have plans laid out that we work through with our coaches. But sometimes we just get distracted, and we just can't really focus on what we should be. I think I've just broken one of the rules that I said that I wasn't going to do from about a week ago, where I wasn't going to take photographs of food, and I did photograph a rather good muffin that I had when I was in Stockholm. But that was actually a video, so I'm going to give myself permission to do that. That's all right. So we're gonna take a pause for a moment, but when we get back, we're going to speak more about why people aren't acting and seeing through their plans, even though they've been through with a coach and they've sat down, and at the time they bought into them. But there's something that actually, when it comes to them getting home, they still just don't quite see it.
So how you actually move forward with a viable action plan.
Yeah. So you hold that thought.
Okay.
Please wait there. It'll be half a second for you. It might be 5 or 10 minutes for us. I've got a really good looking pizza, so it may only be 2, but we will be back shortly.
So in answer to your question, Charles, about we have days with coaches, and we are having strategy plans with people, and we're coming up with fantastic clear plans and strategies and workouts and action lists. of how we're going to go forward, and then you find yourself a month later and you haven't moved forward, you haven't actioned on it or acted on advice that's been given. And I will tell you, if this is what you're feeling, you are most definitely not on your own. Everyone goes through this. I still go through this, and there are days when I say, wait a minute, you know, I had this fantastic coaching day and I had this amazing action plan and I was completely high as a kite with ideas and innovation, and then come back into reality, or you know, come back home, and then the next day you start to get a bit distracted by normal life and everyday life. And that is actually so there's three facets actually that lie into when we don't actually take action on the advice. And when you're aware of these three, it's going to help you to then start moving that one step forward. So first of all, when you have these big days and get given these fantastic advice from the coaches and strategy sessions, and you come out with a crystal clear plan, that very often these crystal clear plans are wonderful when you're talking to two people about it, but when one person's looking at it and is doing all the action on their own, they feel overwhelmed. It's suddenly like, right, I'm going to call so many clients. Well, before I call so many clients, I need to have identified the details on how to reach them, what I want to talk to them about. Before I talk to them about it, I need to have my business proposal lined up. And suddenly we just get into this crazy mindset that, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to do, and it's all on my shoulders, and how am I going to do this? And then we get stressed. We get stressed because we feel overwhelmed by the amount we need to do. We also feel stressed because we have to incorporate everyday life as well. Simple things, you know, if you're a parent, you're needing to do the school run, well, suddenly your 9 to 5 day is cut to 9 till 3 o'clock. Well, suddenly you have a lot less hours when you add that all up. So it's really a combination of time, combination of depth of how much you need to do, your huge to-do list. And I would definitely say one of the best ways to move forward on this actually is this, and this is something I do with a lot of my clients actually, is that when we have our day with a coach, or when we have our strategy sessions, we do our deep dives, which I do with my clients, something that I'll say with them is, okay, we'll do the 90 days, the 60 days, and the 30 days. And that's fine, and we always focus on what we want to do from a business. But I always add in 3 more columns, and I suggest you do this because it really helps with the feeling of overwhelmment, and it's going to help you to move forward and stay on track. The first of those 3 new columns is, what do I need to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days that has nothing to do with my business? Is there a wedding that you need to plan? Is there a family holiday that you need to organize? Is it their end of term? Do you need to organize gifts for the teachers? Is it your mother's 50th? Whatever it is that is out, even something as simple as picking up dry cleaning. You know, whatever it is that's in your normal to everyday life, have a column for that. Because when you plan your business stuff, especially as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur we wear lots of hats, as you can see. I'm wearing my hat today. This is my holiday hat, but it's also doubled up as my work hat. So you actually have to have sort of your 30, 60, 90 days from your business, but also what is going on in your personal life, because when you're an entrepreneur starting out, everything is on our shoulders to get done. So when you actually allocate time to everything else, you will be able to keep on top of your business. And that is what's so key. The second column is, what do you do that makes you feel good? What puts a big smile on your face? We all need a bit of fun, and this is particularly key when we're entrepreneurs and building our own businesses, because you remember I mentioned this whole point about in the middle of a process, when you're feeling slightly overwhelmed, you're not at the end, you're not at the beginning or the end, this middle part. One of the key ways to get past this middle process is by installing a bit of fun, and something that's personal to you. For example, one of my favorite things is to sit in a cafe or a museum on a sunny day with a glass of wine and a book, and I take out an hour just to read. That is my way to recharge. This is your recharge column. And the third column is things you like to do with other people. So middle column is about stuff you like to do with yourself. And the third column is what you like to do with other people. Go and recharge energy, talking to friends, engaging with other individuals, something that's going to get you out of your comfort zone. So one of the reasons in ultimate, I guess to conclude really, the reason we don't act on advice is because we feel overwhelmed and lost and out of our depth, because we feel like we have to do all of it on our own. So the two key things or several key things, but first and foremost, when you do your 30, 60, 90-day plans, make sure you include your life so that you don't fall back on things. Secondly, find a business partner, or in this case, I have Charles, who is not only my husband, but I can also talk to him about business, and say, does this make sense? I need someone to keep me on track. And make a deal with yourself. Say, right, every day I'm going to do 10 things on my to-do list that just needs to be done. Get it done. It's quicker it's done, then treat yourself to something fun, like half an hour with your book and no interruptions.
And what about in terms of self-development? Obviously, if you have your own business at some point or another, once you're progressing successfully, you could probably start to take it for granted, start to get a bit lax, and it becomes a bit too easy. Yeah. And actually, you stop going outside your comfort zone and you stop really developing. So, how would you recommend that people keep that going? Should they just start up second and third businesses and move on, or what?
Well, they could do that. If you are going to set up a second, third, fourth business, definitely be something that's going to be of interest to you, so that if it was not to make, the question is, if it does not make a single pound, would it still excite you to do? If it does, then you invest the time and energy into doing it, because that's your why. If you did something that you were willing to do and took time, and you weren't going to see a result straight away, but you were excited about it, definitely then expand. That's when I'd say expand into something else, because then the money will come. But I think there's lots of ways of self-development. There are one-day courses, half-day courses, having networking groups such as the one that we attend, which is the IMN, is a great way, or something like the Dream Team as well, actually. It's fantastic. It's not just about the 4 coaches. You suddenly have 20 other people there you can bounce a business idea with. Having coaching days, having someone that keeps you accountable. These are all ways that you develop yourself professionally, but also develop yourself personally. Do stuff that's out of your comfort zone. When you're out of your comfort zone in your personal, so for example, when I go down the water slide, I have a much higher level of confidence now than I did then. And that fed into other parts of my life. One of the key rules I run by, and I suggest this for everybody, and this is absolutely core, especially when it comes to self-development, is life is not a question of or. It's not, do I do this or that? It's a series of ands. So I am going to do a day of coaching, and I'm also going to go and do a fun day at a water park, and I am going to spend some time on my own strategizing, and I'm going to go and work an idea out with somebody. These are all things that are so important because they dovetail into you being successful. It's not one path, it's multiple paths. And actually, when you feel overwhelmed, it's probably because you've been focused on one path for too long.
Yeah.
Look at other paths.
Yeah, I suspect also to some extent it's the once things are up and running and they actually work and are successfully bringing you the rewards, that you can actually start to become purely transactional, forget about being the transformational. So I think it's important also to remember that side of things, to keep it going. True. So
actually, on that point, if you don't mind me sharing, that's an extremely valuable point, and it's probably one of the best forms of self-development that you could have, is every 2 weeks or once a month, simply look at your business plan or look at the day-to-day work and ask yourself, what has now become transactional and how can I fine-tune this so that it becomes transformational? So what's transactional? What can I fine-tune so that it becomes transformational? What's another way of doing something?
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me, and thank you for flying in specially for this vlog, okay. Victoria Fellows.
Well, thank you for inviting me all the way over here to beautiful Taormina.
Well, yes, that's great. Yes, thank you all for tuning into this vlog, and I shall be back tomorrow with the 6th day of my areas to source where exactly your problems are coming from. So please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to comment. Comments are very welcome and helpful. It's always good to get feedback on your thoughts, because together we're stronger.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.